Okay, let's go through how to install WSUS. WSUS is the Windows Server Update Services, which allows you to manage, control, customize the way that updates are delivered throughout your organization. Now, before you do this, if you are doing this in a VM, or for that matter, even if you're doing it on a physical machine, make sure that the machine can get to probably the internet. Um, you're definitely going to need to be able to get to your upstream WSUS server. And if this is your first WSUS server, then your upstream server is going to be the one, it's going to be Microsoft's update services. So you need to make sure that you can get there before you start this process. All right, and also be forewarned heading into this process that this process is going to take a while. This is not going to be quick and easy. So, with those caveats in place, let's go ahead and dive right in. And let me clarify that. It's not that hard, it's just not going to be quick. Okay, let's go to Manage, and I'm going to add roles and features. I'm going to add role or feature-based installation. I'm going to add the Windows Server Update Services. Now, this is going to need a whole bunch of other things, including some admin tools, some IIS tools, some .NET Framework tools. We're just going to add them all and click Next. Don't need any additional features other than what's it's already added, so we're good with that. So, the web server roles. All of these are predefined, so these are role services. These are all predefined or preset by us selecting WSUS. So, unless we want to add additional things beyond what WSUS is going to need, we can pretty much just leave this alone. And then role services for WSUS. Now, the WID installs a database user at WSUS into WID. It's going to be kind of standalone, isolated. The other option here is to SQL connectivity. Now, for this, you're going to have an SQL server up and running, and then what'll happen is rather than using the WID connectivity for the database, you're going to use your SQL server for the database. But we don't have that, so we're not going to worry about it, and it'll run just fine without SQL connectivity. It'll just be located on this machine. Now, if you're going to have multiple WSUS servers working together, then you might want to link them to an SQL server. It'll also allow you to look at data from the SQL side rather than going into WSUS. So there are some benefits to it. But we definitely need to have the WSUS service, and if we're doing standalone, WID is going to work just fine. So we'll click Next. All right, where are we going to store updates? And for that, I'm just going to do C:\updates. And I will save my information there. And I'll click Next. All right, and then we'll do the install. Now, the install isn't going to take too long. We are going to have some follow-up configuration processes that are going to take a little bit longer, but the install itself shouldn't be a horribly long process. But we are installing IIS and WSUS, so it'll take a little bit longer than some of the other roles that we may have installed before. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and then we will pick it up here again as soon as this is completed. Okay, our feature installations have finished, so I'm going to click Close, and you'll see we have a little notification up here, and that's going to tell us we have some post-deployment configuration. Now, I need to go ahead and run these tasks, so I'm going to click Launch Post-Installation Tasks. Now, here's the fun part. It'll actually start running, and you can see it running up here. This is going to take a few minutes more, and it's going to run, but it's not prompting you for anything. It's not going to tell you what it's doing. It's just going to sit there and run in the background. So really, I mean, at this point, there is nothing to do but wait for that to go away. Now, depending on the speed of your system, this may take a few minutes. So we're going to do the same thing we did when we were doing the feature installation. I'm just going to pause the video, and we're going to pick it up again once that gets completed. And we'll know it's completed once this little indication goes away. Or if you want to sit here and watch it, you can click on it and just watch that scroll by. I don't care that much. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and we'll pick it up again once that's completed. Okay, that is now shifted, and it's no longer giving us that indicator. It's now saying we've got two notifications, and down here it says my post-deployment configuration is completed. Okay, so at this point WSUS is installed. It's not doing anything, but it's installed. So let's go to our tools, and we should have Windows Server Update Services. I'm going to click on that, and that's going to open up a wizard for us. Now, if you make a mistake and it dumps this wizard, don't worry about it. You can manually set everything that's going to be set here. There's also, once you get into the WSUS tool, there's a way to re-trigger the wizard, and we'll show you that. Probably once we complete the configuration, we'll go ahead and do a separate video showing how you can work with it. So let's start by clicking Next. Before you begin, we'll wait for it to come up. Whoops, I jumped one too many. All right. So we go from passive before you begin. So the Microsoft Update Improvement Program. No, I don't want to join that. This is a demo server. It's not going to help them out anyway. So click Next. All right. So Upstream Server. Now, that's going to be the server that this one is getting its updates from. So the idea here is you can install multiple WSUS servers, have one of them go out and grab the updates from Microsoft. And if you're only doing a single WSUS server, that one then would also give those updates to all of the clients. But you can also have that almost bridgehead server give updates to other WSUS servers that then serve clients. So if this is the first one in our organization, we need to synchronize from Microsoft. If it's a subsequent one, then we could have it sync from whatever that server is that is syncing with Microsoft. And that's what this section here is about. Now we're going to go ahead and sync directly from Microsoft because this is our first one. If we're using a proxy server, then we need to put those credentials in here, but we're not, so we're going to skip that. All right. Now, we're going to need to choose our languages, our products, our classifications, but to get that, we're actually going to have to pull some of that information from Microsoft. So if we click Start Connecting, it's going to go out and try to start pulling some of that information from Microsoft so that we can then fill out what languages, products, and classifications do we want. Now, again, this is going to take a little while. In fact, it notes right here, this process may take several minutes or longer depending on your connection speed. Not quick. So, once again, we're going to pause the video until this is completed. Then we'll come back and walk through the rest of the wizard. So we have finished downloading all of this information here. We're ready to proceed, so we're going to click Next. There we go. All right. So now we're going to choose the language, products, and classifications we want to download. And the more things we include, the more downloading our server is going to do. So I'm going to stick with just doing English language updates. If you want to do multiple languages, you go through here and you select all of them that you want. I'm just going to stick with the English language updates for the moment. For products, these are all of the products that we can choose to download updates for. And I'm just going to pick a couple of them here to keep this a little bit simpler. So I'm going to come down to Microsoft Windows, and I'm specifically going to choose, let's do Windows 10. Select all of Windows 10 here. And you'll see we can specify by version numbers and sections and things like that. I'm going to do Windows Defender, and I'm going to go with just those two at the moment. So I'm going to click Next. And then what classifications? So we've had languages, products, and classifications. And now I can choose which things I want to download. So upgrades, security updates, definition updates, and critical updates are all selected by default. I can also add drivers, features packs, service packs, rolling a bit, whatever you want to include here. And I'm just going to leave this alone for the moment. I'm honestly doing less than I would if I was doing this in a production environment, because I want to kind of limit the amount of my downloads here. So I'm going to click Next. And then we're going to set the sync schedule. Now this is going to default to synchronize automatically. You can also specify this to synchronize manually. We can also set it to synchronize manually. And we can set number of times per day and when we want it to synchronize every day. So if we do it this way, it would download at 5:10 a.m. Once a day. Now that synchronization is going to take a while. So, especially the first time. Once you have your base set, then you're just adding new stuff from Microsoft. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it as synchronized manually. And I'll show you in the next video where you can come in and change this and how to run your synchronization. So I'm going to click Next, and then we can begin our initial synchronization now, or we can wait for it. I'm going to go ahead and wait for it, and we're going to start that in our next video when we talk about how to configure and work with updates. So we click Finish, and at this point our initial configuration is done, and we're going to manage it from this console, the Update Services console. So we're going to take a look at that in our next video.